All right, welcome everybody to this meeting with the Northern Middlesex Metropolitan Planning Organization meeting. Call the meeting to order. The first item on the agenda is welcome and introductions. So Justin, do you want to call the roll for members present?
Yes. Okay. So Massachusetts Secretary of Transportation and MassDOT CEO Jamie Tesler.
Yep, Derek Cravat here representing Secretary Tesler.
MassDOT Highway Administrator Jonathan Gulliver.
Brian Fallon representing MassDOT Highway Administrator Gulliver.
NMMPO Chair Andrew Delorier. NMMPO NPO Representative Pat Moses.
Here.
And LRTA Board Chair Tom Bommel.
Here.
Lowell City Council Representative NMMPO and the NPO Dan O'Rourke. Here. And we have a new LRTA NPO representative joining us today. It's her first meeting. Karen Paleo.
Here, thank you.
Welcome. And that's the roll. Thank you.
All right, sounds good. Thanks, Justin. And yep, welcome, Karen. Next item on the agenda is the approval of the September 28th, 2020. September 28th, 2022 Northern Middlesex MPO meeting minutes. So it asks for a motion and second to approve those meeting minutes that I believe were circulated.
Motion to approve, Tom Bommel.
Second, Pat Wojcik.
All right, motion having been made and seconded. Are there any questions or comments on the minutes? All right, seeing none, we can call the roll.
Okay. Derek Cravat.
Yes.
Brian Fallon.
Yes.
Pat Wojcik.
Yes,
Tom Bommel.
Yes.
And Karen Paleo.
I'll abstain for this one. Thank you.
Great. Okay, sounds good. The next item on the agenda is a status report on transportation improvement program projects under design and construction. So maybe start with District 4. Turn it over to Brian or Tim.
Hi, Tim Paris, District 4
Yep.
Planner.
Great.
We've got a few updates this month. Most of them all are associated with the tip being updated. 610-719 Burlington to Tingsboro pavement preservation on Route 3 has a new tip year and tip cost. 608-816, we've got a new tip cost. That's Lowell, Dragut, Methuen resurfacing and related work on 110. 608-861 Westford Bridge replacement, Stony Brook Road over Stony Brook. That has a new tip cost. 609-510 Dragut improvements at George Inglesby and Elementary School. It's a Safe Routes to School project that's on now the 2024 tip. 607-401 Chelmsford traffic signal installation at Route 110 and 495. That is now in 2025. 607-887 Lowell Rourke Bridge replacement. That's 2024 with the new cost. 609-317 Chelmsford improvements on Chelmsford Street, Route 110. That is new tip years and tip cost. 608-227 Billerica Yankee Doodle bike path construction. That has a new tip cost. 607-885 Lowell pedestrian walkway bicycle connection at Pawtucket Falls Outlook from Van Deering Esplanade to School Street. That is now not and no longer has a tip year or cost. 609-250, we have a new tip cost. 610-704 Burlington Billerica resurfacing related work on 3A. That's been moved to February 11th of next year for advertising. It's in the 2023 tip with a new cost. 609035 Westford rehabilitation of Boston Road, that has a new cost. 605966 Lowell reconstruction related work on VFW Highway, new cost for the tip. 608774 Lowell Tewksbury Route 38 intersection improvements. That's been scheduled now for February 4th next year with a new cost. And 612-197 Amesbury, Haverhill, Lowell, Methuen Bridge Preservation Bundle along I-95. That has been removed from the tip. And 608-830 Westford Bridge Rehabilitation Beaverbrook Road over Beaverbrook, likewise. And then we skip down to 605-178 Billerica Rehabilitation on Boston Road, Route 3A from Billerica Town Center to Floyd Street. That has a new tip year and cost. And that's it for the updates.
Okay, thank you, Tim. Just want to clarify that these costs are carried in the fiscal year 2023 to 2027 tip. So I think they've changed maybe since the last STIP, but they should be up to date now in our tip document and then the STIP. So appreciate you sharing that. Yeah, Derek Schuster.
Thanks, Derek Cravat. I wanted to note that for some of the projects that Tim provided an update on, such as Burlington Billerica Project 610704, that because the projects are interregional, both in the Northern Middlesex region and the Boston MPO region, they are captured on the STIP as statewide projects. So I think there were a small handful of those projects shared now. I just wanted to clarify if anyone is wondering when or where those are programmed, and I'm sharing a link for the 23-27 STIP as adopted for your records in the chat in case you want to see other statewide prioritized projects. That's all.
Okay. Thank you, Schuster. Any other questions for Tim? All right, seeing none. Thanks, Tim. Sarah, did you want to give a District 3 update?
I think Tim covered the Westford project.
Okay, already got it. Yep, perfect. Sounds good. All right. So that's agenda item 3. I think then we can move to item 4, which is an open forum, just basically an opportunity for public comments. Is there anyone on the meeting now that would like to make a comment or have a question at this time? All right, seeing none. If you do have a comment at any point during the meeting, please feel free to raise your hand on Zoom or put a note in the chat and we'll be sure to call on you then. The next item is federal fiscal year 2023 to 2027 Transportation Improvement Program Amendment number 1 for the Gallagher Terminal Access Project in Lowell.
Derek, we're gonna switch it up a little bit. We're gonna
okay.
switch the two
Sure.
agenda items. We're gonna start with Envision 20.
Oh, okay. I was looking at an old agenda.
Yeah,
Sorry about
okay.
that. Yep.
It's okay.
Okay. Yep. Start
okay.
with the long range plan then. Go ahead, Justin.
Jessica, I think I made you a co-host. Yep, there you go.
Pulling up now. Hi everyone, my name is Jessica Belanger. I'm a transportation planner with NMMPO, and today I'll be giving a presentation on Envision 2050, and that's the long-range transportation plan for our region. Here's our agenda for this afternoon. We're going to start off with an overview of the RTP, then I'll jump into the goals and visions for the plan. We'll review the previously programmed projects. We'll discuss the community engagement goals and strategies. Then we'll have a brief discussion, we'll review our timeline and then next steps for the project. So first, I'd like to start off by everyone just doing a brief icebreaker. There's a question up on the slide and the question is, what does it mean to you to envision? if everyone could take a moment and just write something in the chat. When you think of the word envision, really, what comes to mind? So a lot of people are saying future, looking ahead, and those terms actually really resonate with me. And that's why we thought about naming the plan Envision 2050 to get people to think about really the potential of transportation and what it means for our future in the region. Let's jump to the next slide. And the question is, what is the regional transportation plan? In order to receive funding from the federal government, regional planning agencies are responsible for developing a long-range transportation plan. And the plan needs to be redone about every 4 or 5 years. And our current plan spans through the years of 2020 to 2040. So now we're working on 2050. And as you can see from the pie chart here, there are 3 funding sources for our transportation. That's the UPWP, the TIP, and then also the long-range transportation plan. Envision 2050 is our comprehensive vision for the future of transportation in the NMCOG region. By projecting and planning for anticipated growth over a period of 30 years, this plan will establish a foundation for cost-effective, energy-efficient, and equitable transportation options for all users. Envision 2050 is a needs assessment of our transportation infrastructure, including the cost to maintain the system through the future year of 2050. This plan will identify the region's needs, goals, and policies. And as we know, transportation planning is influenced by many factors. And this effort will set the standard for a balanced and forward-thinking transportation network in our region. Some of the topic areas that we hope to touch upon in this plan are economic vitality, safety, infrastructure, environmental and climate resiliency, accessibility and mobility options, connectivity, and equity, with an emphasis on communities that have been historically marginalized. This plan will build on our existing long-range regional transportation plan by improving safety conditions. And one example, or a few examples of how we plan to do that, are encouraging the use of bike and pedestrian infrastructure and support our municipalities with interventions that promote safer auto speeds. Next, we'll be encouraging mode shift and assisting communities with addressing the need for single occupancy vehicle trips, as well as improved trail connections throughout the region. We plan to reduce environmental impacts by reducing the impacts that require mitigation, as well as emission reductions for improved air quality. Next, we'll be fostering transportation equity and promote mobility options that support a diverse set of users, as well as record the transportation inequalities in our existing network. Next, we'll be identifying the gaps in our existing services, and we plan to review the transportation-related challenges near transit centers, as well as employment centers, and develop strategies for alleviating the gaps in and focus on first and last mile connections in the region. On this slide, you'll see some projects that were conducted under the previous regional transportation plan. Some of them, I think Tim mentioned in the beginning. So they're intersection improvements, corridor improvements, bridge improvement projects. And then the next slide has bike and pedestrian improvements, as well as transit improvement projects. Here's a list of our community engagement goals. So through our plan, we hope to educate people about the planning process. We'll identify and engage people who live and work and visit our region. We will document, listen, and build consensus around transportation concerns and priorities. We will utilize diverse outreach techniques. We will build momentum for equitable alternative transportation and reach a greater number of constituents than we have through our previous efforts. On this slide, you'll notice that I've listed some community engagement strategies. Many of the listed strategies have an emphasis on long-term relationship building and are centered around collaboration. Through our process, we will encourage the community to believe in the vision and build trust with the community by showing how our organization can help. Lastly, we will be improving closer participation from the community towards each effort. So you'll notice we have a survey, our kickoff meeting scheduled, some of the email distribution list and focus groups are some strategies that we will employ as part of this plan. So now I'd like to initiate some discussion prompts here. So I was wondering, what are some of the biggest transportation related concerns facing our region? And feel free to use the raise hand feature to answer the first question. You can also type it in the chat if you're more comfortable with that as well. Chris says traffic. Can't go wrong there. Okay, interregional multimodal options. And then are there any thoughts on how we should spend our transportation dollars?
Folks can also feel free to come off mute as well if, I think you can feel free to have a free-flowing discussion if folks have thoughts and want to share. No need to go through the chair. I know that we're set up kind of in that Robert's Rules type format, but if folks have thoughts, definitely feel free to chime in.
That's a good one, Brian. Designing pedestrian and bike accommodations with using older infrastructure. That's a good one.
Despite it being tip funded, I'm very surprised everyone's quiet about Rourke Bridge all of a sudden. This is a first for me with this region. Should it stay tip funded?
Yeah.
Thanks, Justin. My contribution for the conversation.
Thank you, Derek.
So I'll add the bridge world in pro. So I'm here from LRTA, but I live in Tingsboro. So that world of dealing with traffic in areas that are divided by bridges is very interesting. So that the impact in the Merrimack Valley region from the Merrimack River is definitely a piece that ties into that traffic piece. And then as we add and design that pedestrian and bicycle accommodation, making sure then that we're managing that traffic flow, that we're changing based on managing the future of travel, right? And those pieces that continue to impact it. Ride share, how to increase ride sharing, those and ride sharing with multiple people in ride sharing, right? Trying to continue to increase those things, especially as we continue to come out of the pandemic and more people do a return to work. You can definitely see traffic increasing again.
So for folks on this call, how do you manage your travel decisions? So when you're thinking about what mode you take to work or somewhere else you're going, how do you decide which mode is the best or whether to use transit or drive?
Time.
Yeah, time is definitely a big one.
And convenience, I think, is that other piece, which it ties into time, but it's also, it's how long is it going to end up and how easy is it to get there?
Time definitely is a factor. How much time And
And then
cost as well.
cost adds into that too.
Were you gonna say something, Ally?
I actually said cost, right? As Chris said it, so.
Still,
And then, do you think you can achieve most of your trips with the available options? So the options that you have at your fingertips, do you think that you're able to achieve most of your trips using those options?
I think factoring in all those pieces we just talked about, absolutely. But then, you know, there's various options and it just depends on time, cost, and availability, right?
Yeah, that's helpful. Thank you. So there'll be a lot more questions along these lines coming out in our engagement survey. So we're looking to hear from folks across the region, people that live, work, or travel through. What are some of their transportation challenges and opportunities? So thank you for that. Your feedback was helpful.
Hey, Jessica, if I can offer a little feedback more on the second item, how should we spend our transportation dollars? Something that I wanted to encourage MPO members and member communities to think about is that thanks to the bipartisan infrastructure law, there are not only new funds and more funds available, but different ways that federal dollars can be spent, both over the near term and long term. And to the extent that municipalities do their own master plans or age-friendly plans or hazard mitigation plans or any of the planning efforts that have a transportation nexus, there are more opportunities now and in the future than there ever have been to fund transportation projects. And I think it would serve communities and stakeholders well to take that into account when developing your project universe for your Envision 2050 exercise.
Yeah, just to build on what Derek said, I think this really is a once in a lifetime opportunity under the bipartisan infrastructure law. There's a lot of opportunities, and really think creative about your transportation options and what you'd like to see. So just think back to the word envision and remember the future, and you're planning for it. And it's important to think about those things. So the next slide is our timeline for the project. Currently, we're in November, so on November 2nd, we have our kickoff meeting where we'll provide an introduction to the regional transportation plan, and our survey will also be available that month. And then in December, we'll be holding some municipal meetings with municipal staff. We'll also be meeting with UMass Lowell, the LRTA, and also be conducting focus groups. And part of this effort is to learn a little bit about mode-based travel decisions for our region. So we have a group that will be focused on bike and pedestrian, transit users, neighborhood groups, and we're also welcome to ideas on additional focus groups in areas that we can really zone in on and learn a little bit more about their transportation needs. January, we'll be receiving the financial information as part of the plan, conducting more focus groups. And then by February, we plan to have a draft plan developed. And then in March, we will present the drafted plan for endorsement. As I mentioned, our kickoff is coming up on November 2. So if you haven't registered, I will drop the link in the chat for folks to register. It's going to be a hybrid event. So there's an option to come in person or virtual to learn a little bit more about the plan. Then here's our contact information. Thank you for your time, everyone.
Awesome. Thank you, Jessica. That was great. I know we have a meeting on the calendar for this Friday morning with a number of regional planning agencies. Justin, I think you might be on it for coordinating outreach between our statewide long-range transportation plan and regional long-range plans as well. So definitely encourage you to come to that, and we'll plan on coordinating going forward as much as we can. So we're both trying to, I think, get similar information.
And everyone is
other questions?
invited.
Oh, yeah.
Everyone is invited next week, November 2nd, 6 p.m. UTEC. Go to our website, sign up. Please come.
Thanks, Justin. Any other questions on the long range plan? All right, seeing none, I think we can move to the next agenda item, which was the TIP amendment for fiscal year 23 to 27 TIP, the Gallagher Terminal Access Project in Lowell. Is this you, Justin?
Yes.
The background.
That'll be
Sounds
me.
good.
So taking care of a little business here. As of October 1, we are now in federal fiscal year 2023. And that means the federal fiscal year 2023 to 2027 TIP is now in effect. And with that, we have our first potential amendment for your consideration here today. Excuse me. So on your screen is a summary of draft amendment 1. And this amendment involves a project to improve commuter access ways at the Gallagher Terminal in Lowell. The project includes repairs to the commuter rail platform, rebuild of the existing stairway, an upgrade to the elevators that run from the platform to the terminal, and reconstruction of the pedestrian walkway over the railroad tracks between the terminal and the commuter rail platform. And so total construction costs, this project is about 65% design as of this week, and the latest cost estimate that I have for it is around $5.5 million. And I'm sure that will change as design progresses. So in order to acquire the funding needed to construct the project, the LRTA applied for a 5339B grant in the spring for $2.4 million. And at the time when we were developing the TIP that's just gone into effect in the spring, we included that $2.4 million in the transit side of the TIP. So since then, the LRTA has learned they did not receive the award. So we need to amend the TIP to reflect the current available funding for the project. And for those people that were here in the spring when we were developing the TIP, you'll remember that we did flex approximately $3.9 million from federal highway to FTA to help fund this particular project. And that, along with the $600,000 in state funding that is available for the project, remain programmed in. So there's still approximately, there's a gap of a couple $1 million that the LRTA is going to continue to address, and we'll probably need to address this at a future MPO meeting. But so for today, we are amending. So the proposal is to amend the TIP to remove that $2.4 million that was not awarded as part of that grant application. So and today I'd just like to ask the NPO to consider a vote to release the draft amendment as I presented here for a 21-day public review and comment period. And well, yeah, with that, I can take any questions that anyone may have.
Thank you, Justin. So to make the project whole, is the thought to look at potential other transit sources or carryover in the future?
Yeah, and we'll, if and when another 5339B discretionary opportunity comes around, we'll definitely be giving it another go.
Okay. Sounds good. Okay, but for now, this just removes it and frees up some of that.
Yeah, at least for
funding.
this fiscal year, this MassDOT has agreed to fund this portion 100% state, the 600. So.
Okay. So even if it's not whole, the work could still proceed kind of with that amount of money. There could still be, okay, got it. Sounds good. Okay. All right. Any other questions for Justin or Allie? All right, seeing none, I think you can call the roll, Justin. Or I'm so sorry. We didn't even ask for a
Let's do a
motion. Second to
motion.
approve. Yes, I got ahead of myself. Sorry about that. So yes, I will first ask for a motion and second to release this tip amendment, removing the 5339B funds for this project from 2023 and the transit tip.
I'll make that motion, Tom Bommel, LRTA.
Second, Pat Wojcik.
Okay, so motion having been made and seconded. Now, is there any other feedback or comments, questions? All right, seeing none. Now call the roll, Justin. Sorry about that.
Derek Cruz,
Yes.
Brian Fallon,
Yes.
Pat Wojcik,
Yes.
Tom Bowman,
Yes.
Karen Palayo.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, sounds good. Thank you, everybody. So that passes and will be voted for endorsement at the next meeting. The next item is the Northern Middlesex MPO Title VI Plan reporting updates. Is this you as well, Justin?
Chris Curry.
Yeah, I'm gonna handle
Chris,
this one.
okay, sounds
Chris
good.
Curry.
Great.
Good afternoon. So we're beginning to do our Title VI update. The last full Title VI was done in 2014. Since then, we've had annual changes as recommended by the state, Mass DOT. Go on to the next page. Sorry. So the Title VI of the 1964 Civil Rights Act states the following: no person in the United States shall, on the grounds of race, color, or national origin, be excluded from participation in, be denied the benefits of, or be subject to discrimination under any program actively or activity receiving federal fiscal assistance. The Title VI plan provides information analysis of transportation policies and services to assess the Northern Middlesex MPO compliance with Title VI of the Civil Rights. Now, in Massachusetts, the state is the direct recipient of federal highway and federal transit funding. And the MPOs, Metropolitan Planning Organizations, are subrecipients. So as a result, the MPOs and Northern Middlesex prepare and submit their Title VI plans to the state. The requirements are basically things we will include is a demographic profile of the Northern Middlesex region, demographic map showing the impact of, and distribution of state and federal funds for public transportation projects, description of procedures by which mobility and needs of minority populations are identified and considered within the planning process, analysis of MPO's transportation system investments, and identifies and addresses any disparate impacts. We're going to revise and update our language assistance plan, notifications of protection under Title VI, the Title VI complaint procedure and the complaint log. A lot of this work has been done by the state, and they've put the model documents on the for the notifications and complaint procedures that we'll be able to adopt. Next page. All right. So we're working on a very short time frame for this project. We'd like to get the draft update to the board, the MPO, a week before the December meeting, which I think we're tentatively talking about December 7th, possibly. We'll have the certifications and assurances signed, hopefully by the end of November, and we'll get the whole thing endorsed at the December MPO meeting and then submitted to Mass DOT by the 16th of December. Understandably, that again, that's a very short time frame, and we've been told by the state that we can run into January if need be. But of course, we'd like to get it all wrapped up this calendar year. Any questions regarding the Title VI?
Thanks, Chris. Sounds good. No questions from our end. Does anyone else have any questions, comments? All right, sounds good. Well, good to see this is moving forward, and happy to meet anytime. Or I know our staff in our office is happy to chat or connect anyone with our Office of Diversity and Civil Rights if there are any questions that come up along the way. So,
Thank you.
yep. All right. So I think the next item is just other business. Does anybody have any other business to bring before the NPO? I have one item. Just wanted to mention to everybody that we currently have out right now a kind of call for projects for Safe Routes to School infrastructure projects that I'll paste a link for in the chat. So the deadline, I believe, is November 14th. If communities are interested in applying for Safe Routes to School infrastructure funds, there is guidance at the webpage I just posted, and we encourage folks to look through that and apply. We're looking for a diverse set of applications this year, so definitely encourage everyone to check that out. Any other business? All right, seeing none, I think last item on the agenda is adjournment. So
Let's talk
can
about,
ask,
let's talk about meeting
oh,
dates.
next meeting. Okay, yes, good point. Yeah, I
So-
think the next meeting date did get changed. So go ahead, Justin.
So as we're usually scheduled the fourth Wednesday of each month, our next scheduled date is November 23rd, which is the day before Thanksgiving. And the meeting after that is December 28th, which is right after Christmas. And finding quorum on those days and finding people to attend these meetings is difficult. So typically we do an alternate NPO meeting early December. I don't know what people have in mind, but there's there are 3 dates between Thanksgiving and Christmas, which would be good, either November 30th, December 7th, or December 14th. And typically we do it usually around the 14th. But we'll need to meet to endorse this amendment as well.
I have a question for LRTA. Is there a time constraint on needing to perform the amendment by on your end?
Yes, the design part is underway and that funding is for that. So we do need to be able to access those state funds.
Okay, so it appears that the transit tip action that we'll be performing at the state level, the first one will be the first week of December. So we'd be able to capture this if the MPO did meet before then to endorse.
Okay.
If not, it likely would be a month later.
Which
Early
day,
January.
Eric? Which day are you submitted?
We sometime the
first
first
week?
week of December, yeah.
Okay,
So
so November 30th.
November 30th or at the late, what, December 5th, like around the week of the 5th, most likely. So if the MPO met the 30th,
Yeah.
it would be good. If it met the 16th, it would still, I think it would just be under the wire for your public comment period. So I'll defer to MPO members. I just wanted to clarify urgency or not urgency with the action.
I think we would be okay. It is on the state side and the RTA cap is already, awarded to us. So, the piece that we need is technically, is there. I think that the state would work, be able to work with us around the amendment needed. So.
Right.
Would it be helpful, Justin, maybe to send around a poll or something? And just ask folks to.
I can send a request on those 3 dates and see what people's preference are. Yeah, do that.
Okay, sounds good. And yeah, I ideally be coordinated with the Merrimack Valley meeting date too, so we can do some outreach to them and see if they have a preference, because yeah, the normal
they
meeting
have-
would fall.
Yeah, do they have a date or, do you know?
Not
They
yet.
don't
I
have any action items for next month at the moment. That could change, but nothing at the moment.
Okay. So we'll sort of wait to hear on that then and see what time would work best.
Yeah, I'm just thinking about our Title VI deadline, and we won't be ready by November 30th. It'll probably need to move into January if that's the case,
Okay.
which we've been told it's fine.
Okay. Sounds good. Okay. So that sounds good for that. Anything else on meeting date or other business? Okay. Sounds good. I think with that, I can ask for a motion and second to adjourn then.
Motion to adjourn, Tom Bommel.
Second, Pat Wojcik.
All right. I think we can just do a voice vote for this if that's okay. So all in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right. I think with that objection, we're adjourned. So thank you, everybody. Have a good rest of the day.
Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you.